All right. Okay, we're live. Yay.
Yay.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Donette Palmore with Proverbs Financial Coaching here. This month, I am talking about the importance of having wealth partners, what they are, who they are, and how do you find good ones. A key part of our success is one, educating ourselves, right? And then also gaining wisdom or having these wealth partners around us. And so we need people to help us, right? We can't figure it all out. There's so much stuff that we need to accomplish in our life, and we can't be an expert in everything. So, wealth partners are just experts that we bring around ourselves to help us build and keep our wealth and help us guide us to make the right decisions about what we need for our lives. So, today I have Shawn Lefebvre. I probably didn't say that right, but Shawn Lefebvre with me. He's a financial advisor with Lefebvre Financial Services, and he focuses on the protection side of financial planning, like life insurance, long-term care, and things like that. So we'll dive into that a little bit, but I want to welcome Shawn here today and say thank you so much for being here and talking to everybody about the importance of insurance.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'd be happy to help in any way I can.
All right, awesome. So tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Well, I started my practice back in 1990, which was a while ago. So what are we at, about 30 years, a little over 30 years. And at that time, my practice encompassed retirement accounts and different types of insurances like group health and life insurance, long-term care, income replacement policies, and so forth. And over time, I've developed a very good practice, but at the same time, I've narrowed my practice down so that I can help more people.
Awesome. So what got you into this particular area of financial planning?
Well, as I mentioned, when I first started, I was handling a lot of products, and quite frankly, I felt if you spread yourself too thin, it's very difficult to help people. So by narrowing down my practice to what you had said, the protection side or the foundation side of financial planning, people really see like this person is an expert because he narrows down his focus and he really is there to help people if they fit in a certain, whatever stage of life they're in at that time.
Right. So, what made you just choose that part? Because I mean, financial planning has so many aspects to it, and there could have been so many things that you niched down in. Why did you choose the protection side?
Well, as I mentioned, I think the protection side, it was just something that I gravitated to. I'm more of a long-term financial advisor, and on the investments, people were many times they were looking for a quick dollar. How can I make something in 6 months or a year, what have you? And that's just not my focus. I didn't really feel comfortable with the ups and downs of the market. I'm much more, as I mentioned, of a long-term type planner. I want to help people protect. I want to help people grow, and that's what I really gravitated to. Is just what do I feel comfortable with, and I want to work with those people that feel comfortable in the same way that I do.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Well, I'm glad that you niched down because when people do get spread so thin, it's like they just want to sell you all of it, right?
Exactly.
And then you
Oh
just get
yeah,
really overwhelmed.
exactly. And people can tell. People can tell if you're being sold or if you're actually getting advice. And I hear that my title is a financial advisor, and that's what I hear so often. Sean, I'm glad that we had a chance to sit down with you because you're actually advising us. You're not trying to sell us products. So it always feels good when people see it that way. I'm there to help them.
Yeah. And that's what it's really about, right? It's really about them and what they need and how can you
Mm-hmm.
best serve them doing that.
Exactly.
Because one, if
Exactly.
you're doing that right, they're going to actually bring you more business because there's nothing better than a referral, right?
Oh, that's right. I get asked that question, Sean, how do you get paid? And I let them know, well, if I do a good job for you, you're going to tell your friends and your family. And if you own your business clients say, hey, you should be sitting down with this gentleman and see how we can help you out.
Awesome. So, um, you said business. So does that mean that you also work with businesses and individuals?
Right. It really depends on where people are at in their stage in their life. So I might be working with individual people that they're single and they need to do certain types of planning. Their planning might be different than somebody who's married with children. And then when I'm working with business owners and they have business partners and they have key people that work within their company, the types of financial planning or protection planning is going to be a little bit different. So yes, it just really depends on the stage of life that people are in. So it doesn't matter if you're single, married, you own your own business. I'm there to ask questions, help where you're trying to go, and then show options that'll help get you to where where your goals
Right, right. Okay, that's fantastic. So, we all know that insurance has gotten a really bad rap. And I think it's more because people don't really understand what it is and why they even need it or what the purpose of it is. What they just think it's something to drain their bank account, right? So,
are.
could you give us a little rundown of what insurance is and why we need it?
Okay, when you the first thing you said bad rap, I think on the protection side, what I do, I don't hear that. I hear it more when people say I got into a car accident and they wouldn't pay the claim, or I had a homeowner's issue and the insurance company would have paid a claim. I don't work in that area of planning that's property and casualty. In terms of what I say, the protection side of financial planning, again, go ahead and rephrase your question, and I'll go back into that because you said that and like it has a bad rap. I don't feel like in my area that it has a bad rap because I'm providing money when people need it. At the worst possible time in their lives, I guess.
So, okay. So, there's companies out there that
Hmm.
sell overpriced insurance products.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by bad rap. And they're selling you
Okay.
something you probably don't really need,
Right.
um, or they didn't listen to anything you said. And so they're not
Exactly.
giving you the right product for you. So with that aspect, people are afraid to buy insurance.
Hmm.
So uh, what is the insurance and why do we need it?
Okay. So there you go. So if I'm working with a married family, everything starts with asking questions. What's most important to you? Do you have debt? Do you have mortgages that you want paid off? What type of income are you bringing in? When people are doing, for example, say life insurance planning, the biggest reasons why people will buy life insurance policies is to replace the breadwinner's income, right?
Right.
If it's a two house or one house, so let's just say, for example, it's a one house breadwinner, and that gentleman is bringing in, say, $150,000 a year, and he passes away in a car accident, that income stops. So life insurance replaces that income so that the spouse and the kids will be able to stay in the home, will be able to pay off the mortgage, will be able to, put food on the table, will still be able to send the kids to college if they're doing the proper planning. And then at the same time, what happens if that breadwinner gets hurt, right? And they can't go to work? Um, Quite frankly, they'll look at income replacement policies or disability income policies that will replace that income until they can go back to work. And that's why this is really the foundation of all financial planning. You really need to get that done and then move on to the other aspects where it might be putting dollars aside for your retirement account or to buy a home or to buy a second home or what have you. Because when, that bad thing happens, you want to make sure that the finances are there.
Right, exactly. So basically, it's to take some risk off of life.
Exactly. I've said this before, and I'm sure that you do it in your industry. People are looking for guidance right now, and I help people make real life decisions, but put the risk on the insurance companies. When people don't do this type of planning, they're 100% at risk, and there's no reason to put yourselves at risk when you can have the insurance company take all the risk for you.
Right. And also do it as early as possible because then it's going to cost you less money, right? The earlier that you get
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. The younger one is, the better the health, the more leverage or the more protection that they can obtain for lower premiums.
Right. So I heard you talk about the breadwinner and insuring
Mhm.
them. What about the person that may not work or doesn't work as much? What about them needing insurance?
Well, at the same time, if that person is staying at home, it's a stay-at-home parent. They're the ones that are raising the children. They're the ones that are taking care of the home. Certainly, I know in my household, if something happened, I mean, my wife and I would both earn, right? She works part-time, but if something happened to her, there's no way that I could raise my two boys and at the same time work full time. It would, you know, cause a financial hardship. So at the same time, we do that type of financial planning when the non-breadwinner is still, there's still a quality of life of taking care of the family, right?
Right.
So definitely there's insurance protection. It's the same thing. There's insurance protection. Like something happens that the house is made whole. There's debt that still has to be paid. I can't just hire anybody off the streets to raise my children. You need somebody
Right.
of quality, right? And quality is not cheap. So you want the best person that would help raise your children while you're at work until you can come home and take over those duties. And that costs money. And that's where the insurance comes into protecting the whole family.
Yeah. I wanted to bring that up because a lot of times people think, well, why would I need to get insurance on this person because they're not really bringing a, you know, they're not bringing a paycheck or an income, but really they
Hmm.
bring a lot more to the table than
Oh
we
yeah.
give them credit for, and the loss of them is a
Hmm.
big expense.
Yes. Yes. It's a huge expense. And in my years in doing this business, I've seen people that did the planning, and I've seen the people that haven't done the planning, and sometimes I hear, why didn't we do more? At that point, you can't do anything about that, but you can still plan for the future, right?
Right, right. So, what are some reasons people might need insurance besides the obvious life insurance?
Well, again, if we're talking about different types of coverage, it really depends on the stage in life. We had talked earlier about income replacement policies, about protecting your income if you get in a car crash, or God forbid you have a heart attack, or cancer or what have you, just a sickness that just hits you. You want to make sure that that income is coming in. As people move through life and they see maybe what happens to their parents or their grandparents, and they end up needing long-term care coverage. And quite frankly, because one spouse is trying to take care of the other spouse, and it's just at some point in time that there's an emotional stress that just can't be done. And as it stands right now, full-time care is over $100,000 a year. Well, people
Wow.
want to stay in their home. People do not want to go into a home. So by looking at different types of long-term care coverage, again, you can take the risk off your retirement account in your homes, which won't have to be liquidated, which is supposed to be used for living, right? You don't want to be used for your caregiving services, and take a small portion of that money and transfer the risk over to the insurance carriers so that when that time comes, again, it doesn't have to be old age. It could be a sickness, it could be a heart attack, it could be cancer. And oh my gosh, we need care. And that's what the professionals are for, to come in and take care so that your family can love you, not have to take care of you, because they probably have other families that they're taking care of also.
Right, exactly. So, I want to go a little deeper into long-term care because some people are going to think, well, their medical insurance is going to cover that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that really isn't necessarily true.
Right,
And
right,
then it only covers so much, right? So
right,
it's really even a supplemental because the healthcare is not going to pay for the loss of income.
right.
And they probably won't most of the time, depending on what you have, pay for somebody to come into the house. They'll
Hmm.
want you to go into a facility.
Right. So regarding that, people will say, "Well, I can go ahead and I can pay for it myself." And quite frankly, when they see what the actual costs are, which I had mentioned before, full-time care is over $100,000 a year. Well, that'll make a retirement account go away pretty quickly. That forces people to have to do things they don't want to do, like maybe have to borrow against their mortgage, or maybe have to sell their house. For people that don't have those type of finances, then yeah, they will have to go into a state-run facility, and those aren't the best places to be. Um, they don't really have the best reputation for taking care of people. So
Right.
the best thing that people can do is at least do the research and find out what's going to be in their best interest and their family's best interest. And then they can make an informed decision for themselves. My job isn't to tell people you need to do this or you need to do that. My job is to find out what's important to you and say, here's where you can help yourself. My job as an independent advisor, I have access to almost every carrier that's available out there. So when they do this type of planning, they know that the research is going to be done for them. So whatever decision they make, that's going to be the best decision for them at that time. Doesn't mean that they can't make changes. Financial planning isn't about, oh my gosh, this is what we're doing and we can never make changes. Financial planning is about, here's where we're at. And as time goes on, we can always make changes to our financial plan. And they should.
Absolutely. They should be talking to their financial planner at least once a year, right?
Exactly.
Because life can change very quickly. So yes, it is more about guiding people and finding out what they need. And I
Hmm.
think also you bring up the point is it's not permanent, it's not forever. It can make changes. Um, there's so much peace in that. That
Yes.
what we do is not forever. We can make the change
Hmm.
to whatever happens in our life, any changes that we have going on there. So looking for financial advisors, what should people be looking out for, or maybe even some questions they could be asking?
Well, one of the first things they should, if they're when they're looking for somebody, is somebody that's been in the industry for a while. They don't want to be working with somebody that doesn't have any experience. They're fairly new in the industry. That's a big plus. I hear a lot of, well, I have a financial advisor, but I never hear from them. So it maybe if you can talk to an existing client or two that's been working with that advisor, and get their opinion. Are you happy with the advisor that you have right now? That's always a good thing to do. You want an advisor that just doesn't push one product and say this is what you should be doing because this is what I think is in your best interest. That's not really financial advising. Those are a few key things that they should be looking at when they're looking for an advisor. And really, the best way is a referral from a friend or a family member. Who are they working with? Are they happy with that advisor? And even then, after they meet with that advisor, maybe they should be talking to another one or two more because it really is all about personalities. And you can get a good feeling from somebody like that. I really like dealing with this person. I think that they're going to be helpful. And if you've been working with a financial advisor for a while, it doesn't mean yet you have to keep that financial advisor. If they're basically disregarding what they said that they were going to do for you, you can move to another financial advisor.
Right. So again, your choice is not permanent.
Your choice is not permanent. But
And
if
it's sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, if somebody says, "Hey, we should be talking," now with this type of planning, this isn't, we're not doing stocks and bonds and mutual funds here. I'm not that type of financial advisor, although I have those licenses where maybe they should be talking to them on a quarterly basis or a semi-annual basis. My type of planning, it's normally, okay, maybe we should talk every 6 months, or maybe we should talk once a year. And what I hear after I've had a client for a year and I call them back, they'll sometimes they'll say, "Well, why are you calling?" And I said, "Well, remember what I said? We should at least do a checkup at least once a year just to stay on top." Because when I'm reviewing policies of other people that I've never worked with before, and I'm looking and I'm telling them how their contracts work, they're saying, "I didn't know my contract worked that way. Well, I didn't know my beneficiaries work this way. I didn't know that my premiums could go up in this situation." So that's the whole idea of staying on top of it. Because a lot of times people buy these contracts and they put it aside, and unless their advisor is calling them on a regular basis, they kind of forget what they have.
Right, right. That's a good point. They forget what they have and they really don't know how it works.
Hmm.
Or that they can even make changes again. It's not permanent. It could be made, it should get changes made to it as your life needs it to happen. Um, so, what are some questions they might ask the a financial advisor when on the protection side, uh, so that they can find out, is this person really serving me or are they just trying to sell me something?
Well, it depends on, like I said, I think the first thing is where, how long are they into their practice? Um, if a person says to me, "Shawn, can I talk to a client or two of yours?" I'm happy to do that. I will call the clients first. I don't want to, say, "Hey, just go ahead and call this person out of the blue." I'll say, "Well, I have a client over here, and they're interested. They just want to make sure. Would you mind speaking with them?" Well, they're not going to go in depth and tell them the type of planning, but they will say, "This is the experience that I've had with Shawn." So if you would feel more comfortable in speaking with a reference of that advisor, that's a good way to go. That's a good start. And again, when you're sitting down with that person, you know, It doesn't matter the question that you ask the advisor. If you're trying to feel comfortable with them, ask what you would think would say, okay, this is where I'm at, and get their opinion on where do you think I should be going based on what I'm sharing with you. And if they're going to give you several different ideas, that's a great way because there is no one size fits all financial plan. What you do could be completely different than what your neighbor is doing right next door. And
And
they
it probably
probably
will
are.
be.
It probably
Exactly.
will because everybody has different needs and different concerns. But that's a good start when you're talking to a financial advisor. How long have they been in the industry? Do you feel like there's a connection there? Is there somebody? Can I talk to a client of 2 years to get a feeling of how they've been working together with you?
That's really good. Is there an age that you think people should start looking at the protection side of financial planning?
Well, when people are out on their own,
Okay.
they should probably looking at, as I mentioned, when people are younger, they're probably not too concerned about life insurance because they're really concerned about taking care of themselves. But the younger individuals are going to be concerned about what happens if something happens to me? What happens if I can't work? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to pay my mortgage? Those types of situations. Those people are going to be looking at income replacement policies. When people get married and they have children, they're going to be looking, okay, I want to make sure that my family is protected if anything happens to me. At the same time, on those ages, people should be looking at retirement accounts also, planning for their future. It doesn't matter what you start with. The fact that you're starting with something is what's really important because you can always say, I'll start that when this happens or when that happens. And so often they do this and it's 5 years later or it's 10 years later and they're still saying the same thing. No, you start, it doesn't matter. If you can start with something, you should be starting with something. And then as people move on further in life, they're going to be looking at more like the long term care coverages. At the same time, when I'm sitting down and I'm talking with people, they're going to say things, and I'm going to say, maybe you should be talking to this type of advisor that's going to help you out in different types of investment planning. I'm going to refer them to other types of insurance advisors that's going to help them with like their medical coverages if that's not offered through their work. If they're self-employed, they've got to take care of that themselves. A lot of times I'm talking to individuals and that will start talking about their auto and their homeowners policy, something that I don't do. But like what I do, I review coverages to see if I can save people money or make them money. Often I will refer them to other property and casualty agents to see if they can save them money on their existing renters insurance, homeowners insurance, automobile insurance. It's basically it's all financial planning. Although it's insurances, it's still financial planning. It's about putting more money in your pocket and as little in the insurance company, but still getting the full time risk. Making them take the full time risk.
Right, exactly, exactly. And when you think about what it actually saves you purchasing insurance if that
Exactly.
things was to happen, I mean,
Hmm.
it could be a lot of money. So, and the earlier you start, the more money you're actually going to save because if you're in good health and you're younger and you could buy these policies for
Hmm.
almost nothing, it's like
Hmm.
insane.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's great, and people will down the road they'll look at it and they'll shop new coverage and they'll go, that doesn't even compare to what I did a few years ago. Well, you're younger and you're healthier, and you'll say, I'm really happy I did this type of planning, and I started it way back when.
Right, right. um, Something you said about people keep putting this insurance, I'll get to the insurance, I'll get to this, I'll get to
Hmm.
that. And I'm thinking my daughter does sell auto and home, and people actually
Hmm.
call after an accident and say, can I get insurance? And
Yes.
so, yeah, it's too late. Once that happens, it's, they'll take the risk before, not after.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I get that.
anyways,
I get that sometimes too. People will call me and they'll say certain things, and I says, "Well, did you just have an incident in the family?" And normally something like that triggers people to go ahead and do something like that. I've had people that maybe I was talking to, and for whatever reason, they were just, procrastinating and not doing anything. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call out of the blue and they'll say something. I go, well, did something happen to you? And I say, yeah, I was just diagnosed with high blood pressure and diabetes. Well, they might be able to get the risk on the insurance company if it's controlled, but those premiums that we were talking about much earlier just aren't going to be available to them anymore because their life expectancy is shorter, and that's how insurance companies work. The longer your life expectancy, the lower your premiums. The better your health, the lower your premiums. So that's why the better your health, the younger you are, the more options are available to you.
Yes, very well said. Okay, let's see. We talked, you said what was the biggest complaint that you get from clients about financial advisors?
Well, I had mentioned it earlier. The biggest complaint that I get from people is that my financial advisor doesn't return my phone calls, or my financial advisor, he put me into this planning and I have no idea, and I can't get a hold of them anymore. Or maybe the financial advisor just isn't really after their client's best interest. They're just moving on to the next client. That's the biggest thing I hear. But when people have normally been in this industry for a while, you're not going to hear it as much. Um, but quite frankly, when I sit, a lot of my business comes from people just say, "Would you review my existing coverages and please share with me what I have? Is there something that I can do better? Can you make any suggestions to me on how I can, diversify my dollars to protect my family or protect my business, or protect myself?"
Yeah, that's awesome. So they can give you a call if they want and have you review and say, hey, maybe you want to think about this or think about that. Or maybe that's too much or you don't really need that.
Exactly. I'm always welcome to speak with people. It doesn't matter what their worth is, if they're worth tens of millions or if they're starting out. It doesn't matter. People are looking for advice. And then that's what I do. When people are ready to plan, if I give them good advice, even if they don't do any planning at that time, when they are ready to do that planning, they're going to call me back and say, "Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me." And then that's how business grows. People talk about you, right?
I think that's a great point you hit because I feel like this industry does not like to serve the people who are starting out. They
Hmm.
like to serve the people who've already been established. And
Hmm.
if we don't help the people who are starting out, they're never going to be the established people.
Right. Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, so often I speak with somebody and they're starting out and they're very happy, and they had a friend that does do very well, right? And just by having conversations, I would get phone calls and say, "Hey, you helped so and so. Would you sit down and review the planning that I've done?" So I always try and help everybody. And if there's something that I can't do for them, I'll be happy to refer them to somebody else. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, that can help them at whatever space that they're in. They may say, "Shawn, I really like what you're doing, but this is what's really most important to me right now. And if that doesn't fit into what I do for people, I can go ahead and refer them to somebody else where I know that's going to take just as good as care as if I was handling it for them."
Right. So one of the wealth partners, financial advisor for
Right.
protection, has a set of wealth partners that they can
Exactly.
refer you to help you. And
Yes.
that's really one of the great things of bringing these people alongside you so that you're not just stuck trying to figure it out on your own because we can really spend hours trying to research
Mm-hmm.
every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when we can find someone that we trust that's going to tell us like it is and tell us the truth and not try to oversell us any products or things that we don't need,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's so much value and we can bring that value. They have partners around them also that will bring that
Mm-hmm.
value to you. So
Mm-hmm.
super important to surround yourself with wise people, wealth
Yes.
partners, and getting these people to help guide you. So protection, you can protect things, you can protect your
Right.
income, your family, your business, whatever that might be. And even next week I'll be talking to a financial advisor that does the investment side and
Mm-hmm.
just getting these people because it's all so overwhelming. And I even get overwhelmed even thinking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
being able to talk to somebody that specializes in that and is in that niche makes it so much easier. So um, Shawn, what sets you apart from your competition?
Um, Probably one of the first things is the fact that I'm an independent advisor. So I don't have to work with just one insurance company. I literally have, you know, 50, 60, 70, 80 insurance companies that I have access to. So once I sit down with somebody, find out what's important to them, and we discuss different options, I can now say if a person is just looking for, say, a term insurance policy, I can find them the most competitive premiums. If a client is looking for a permanent life insurance policy, those are the type of policies that build equity over time. Where basically those are people, when people are looking at those types of policies, basically they're looking for more ways to protect their family. They're looking to grow their money over time, and they're looking to minimize their taxes. So it's just one aspect of financial planning. So it's the same thing. If people are saying, I want this type of protection, but I want equity to grow within my policy, which company is going to help me grow as much equity in my life insurance policy? Because again, there isn't a one size fits all. So the fact that I'm independent, the fact that I have access to all of these insurance companies, the fact that I've been doing it for a while, okay. Um, a wise guy told me a long time, there's no substitute for experience. Been doing it a long time. The experience is there. And quite frankly, when I tell somebody, hey, we're going to stay in contact on a regular basis, we're going to stay in contact on a regular basis, I'm always available to my clients. So I do not charge them a fee to call me. I do not, they can call me at any time. They can email me. They can text me if they just have questions. If they get things in the mail and they go, hey, Shawn, what's this? I welcome the phone call. I want them to be educated. The more educated, the better decisions they can make. They may be having a conversation with somebody and they say, I'm going to talk to my advisor. Okay, call me. Let's talk about it. I'll give them the straight information. They may see something in the mail. They may have gone to a seminar. Bounce it off me. Even if I don't do it, bounce it off me, because if I don't do it, I can say, you know what? Maybe you should be talking to a living trust attorney, and this is the person you should be talking to. So I don't charge for this, and I'm sure there are advisors out there that charge people for their time, and it keeps people from calling them. I don't want people to not call me. If they have questions, I want them to call
That's awesome. I love that. That really is a servant's heart and just really wanting the best for people. Um, I think it was Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar that said, if you help enough people get what they want in life, you're going to eventually get what you want. And
me.
that's what
Exactly. Yep.
you do.
No, I know them both.
So, Shawn, thank you so much for being here and just sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with everybody. And my hope was really to help put people at ease with insurance and give them a little more empowerment to go in front of insurance people and ask the right questions and be comfortable and kind of go with a little bit more knowledge so they don't get taken advantage of. So thank you for being here. And if you want to tell anybody that would like to ask you questions or maybe they're not happy with their financial advisor, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can always call me direct. My office is in Laguna Hills, California. So my direct line is 949-652-3279. They can email me. Now, here's different. You might better have a pencil and a piece of paper. It's Shawn, Shawn, at and then my last name, if you see it on the screen, Lefebvre, financial.com. So it's Shawn at slefebvre.financial.com. Please feel free to ask me any questions, send me an email. I'm always available. If for some reason you call, I'm very good about calling the next day if I don't call you back that day. Although if you do it on a Friday, you may have to wait till Monday, but I will get back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.